No.
Due to recent circumstances, John, I've morphed into a paralegal.
You know, funny enough, a fan reached out today, and he's like, I went to law school, I worked in this legal job, and I just ended it. If you guys need any legal interns.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about taking him up on it.
Yeah, I don't need it. I've morphed in a previous life. I was a lawyer because I've been pretty knee deep in the trenches here for about 3-4 weeks. You know, got to keep it super vague, and just because of the corny legal system and all of the corny legalities around it all. But yeah, pretty wild situation going on. Extremely hurtful. The opposite of the vibe and direction that we've been on as a group. And ironically, the company, my company in general, it's an umbrella where all the companies kind of live under, but it's called For the Homies, John. Mm-hmm. You know?
It's true.
And my entire model and outlook on this whole approach to everything we've done is to do it with your buddies.
For a long time.
The whole time.
12 years.
The whole time.
Yeah.
From beginning to now. And it won't change after this, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let this ruin my spirit, change who I am, but obviously I will never allow anything like this ever to happen. There's a level of blind trust and just, you know, going against like common business practice to like just make decisions out of love, you know, and there's nothing worse to me, like, in my opinion, like as I was thinking about this, I was just like, I wouldn't even be who I am. I wouldn't even make the music I make, or I don't think I'd even have the success if I was the guy looking over everyone's shoulder telling me, give me your receipts and fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I never want to have, I would never want to be the one guy that has financial success or whatever, lucrative and doing well, and then all the buddies that you came up with, like, aren't. You know what I mean? Like, the whole goal for me, you know, is to create a culture where everyone wins, where we all ride off into the sunset in our respective directions, and everyone feels fulfilled, not just financially, but just as people. Like, walk away with fruitful friendships, memories, and you know, it's a very cliche thing, but there's cliches are cliches because
they happen all the time.
They happen all the time.
Exactly.
And it's just flat out, don't do business with friends. And I literally totally did not subscribe to that. I literally did the opposite. Made a company called For the Homies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the brand and the motto. And again, I won't let it change the nature that I've nourished or cultivated in myself in regards to how I approach things and how I approach life. Nor am I going to walk forward from this, you know, when the dust settles and not trust people. I'll never do it. I will make sure my checks and balances are in, you know, my checks and balances need to be a lot more strict in regards to just like, you know, in this scenario, I have other employees who weren't friends, I was paying handsomely to oversee my businesses, and oversee they did not, you know. So there's a ton of things that are going to go forward, things that are going to happen. You can beep his name out, but he's a fucking fraud. He's a cornball, and he's just not a good person at all, you know. And that's made very evident through the actions that I've uncovered, you know. But also, I'm really looking forward to the steps we're going to be going. You know, it's kind of shitty because like I'm going day by day, and I feel my emotions going up and down as I'm talking with lawyers and my new business management, and you know, this is going to be a process. It's going to be a process, and thankfully, we're in a great position on it. But it's going to be a process, and You know, it'll be it's a lesson, but it will be an ongoing lesson of patience and trust in the universe. You know, you can trust the universe, but you can't trust everything in it and everyone in it. And that's a lesson for me, you know.
Preach.
And I'll continue to trust the universe, and this will be another lesson in that. I'm going to trust this process that we're going to go through, and the truth will come to light, and I will not be bought. You know, I will not be bought for my silence. I will not do any type of bullshit plea where I'm not going to share this truth, because look, at the end of the day, man, like, my entire approach to business and my entire approach to being who I am, being a independent musician, rests solely on the rapport that I have with consumers, with fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about this all the time. Every artist can say this, but for independent artists, especially, we're probably top 3, you could argue, top 3, top 5 biggest independent artists actively in the world of music.
Mm-hmm.
And to get to this level, you have to have an incredible rapport with the fans. They have to love you as a person. They have to want to go out of their way to buy your tickets, stream your music, tell their friends to stream their music, buy your hats, buy your hoodies. You know, this entire rapport that we've built just off consistent hard work, accountability, responsibility to what we, you know, accountability to what we say we're going to deliver.
Transparency.
Mm-hmm. The transparency cannot stop here.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll never stop being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not be silent on this, although I have to be extremely vague right now in the details. When the time is right and I'm able, depending on how this unfolds and how quickly it unfolds, I mean, I'm going to share the entirety of the truth, because, man, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of complaints buried, you know, purposely. Also, I was made aware because a lot of fans would reach out to me as a last resort. But
me too.
Thousands and thousands of complaints about buying stuff from my companies and not getting them, not getting it, being ignored, being blocked. When you spend $400, it takes 5 months. You reach out to the company, you reach out to the guy that you think is managing it, and you're getting blocked.
Yeah.
When you take someone's money, and that's when everything changes. Like, the infractions and the things at hand and the issues that we've uncovered goes far beyond not delivering hats and hoodies on time or not delivering orders. It's not about that at all. It's way deeper, bigger, much bigger.
But the thing you're talking about is the thing that directly affected the fans,
which
the people that support you.
Which is in turn why I'm saying I will make sure that I'm able, even if it means I lose money in this situation, I will not be bought out in regards to sharing the truth, because, again, once the relationship between my fans is tarnished, which this person who's been in the nucleus or around me for this long has been poisoning my relationship with the people that make me go. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I have this life. You know what I mean? And I'm very aware of that. So, you know, not to mention across my entire network that this person's been grandfathered into, because that's how I operate as a person. I was fucking everyone who needed anything, homies, celebrities, athletes, fucking business people, music industry people, fans, anybody. Talk to this person. Mm-hmm. We'll get you squared away.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's doing the exact opposite. And to undo that this is a necessary step in the process, is healing, healing the relationships, which I've made a few vague posts on social media, and you see the general reactions. I mean, it's cut and dry. The people are acting like I released an album. Like, there's a huge uproar. Mm-hmm. There's a huge fucking applause in the crowd because so many people have had bad experiences with this person. Mm-hmm. And it's not aligned with how people view me and my group of guys. Like, our whole thing is that we're regular guys and we're accountable and responsible and not assholes,
mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, again, it's going to be a process, but at the same time, it's going to be all said and done, it will be an uplifting and liberating process for me. The truth, time's always honest. And I know my karma is clean. Did I go through a period of time that I've kind of resented myself a little bit because I knew better? Yes, but I also know where my heart was. And it was just, I'm trying to take care of my guys. And that's who I want to be. I think that's why we have fans, because I think people feel that. You know what I mean? And music or not, I think that's what other humans gravitate towards, is you can feel when someone's authentic and makes you maybe care for them more, or even want to support them more. You might even subconsciously like their art more because you're like, I fuck with this guy, and that's been the strength and the backbone of our culture. And to realize how much has been poisoned for how long and at what capacity was tough to swallow. Tough to swallow, like in general as a person, just on a friend losing somebody, or I don't feel like it's a loss to lose this person, but just realizing that somebody so close was doing so terrible,
Yeah.
And that's a tough pill to swallow, because we're sitting in a room for the guys we've been with the whole time. I'm still with the entire group, and that's kind of prided myself on that, probably to a fault, maybe blurred my vision on some things, where trying to keep the gang together and trying to stay solid with the guys was like maybe too high on the totem pole of priorities. When
Well, wanting to see the best in people is not a bad thing, though. I found people that are overly cautious, and I knew I never wanted to be that type of person.
Yeah.
Be cautious until because they might fuck me over.
Yeah.
Versus seeing the best in people and just giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I think that's the better approach.
Yeah, I said that earlier. Like, I'm not going to let this change my spirit or who I am, which I won't give him any more, I won't give this person any more power over me to have any impact on my life and negatively I'm not going to carry this poison around with me and make me see the world in a more dark or grim way, because that's just not how I'm rocking, The truth is the truth, and again, even if the truth hurts, it's still going to set you free in the long term, So to be honest, I already feel lighter, cleaner,
Yeah.
I pretty quickly switched over to some compassion for myself instead of beating myself up. I beat myself up for a few days, and I'm like, man, I was in an extremely toxic relationship. Like, you got, like, I don't speak about money at all to any of you guys. Like, we talk about money that we don't even talk about it. You know what I mean? But like, we're making a bunch of money into some of our ventures.
Yeah.
Give a fuck. Like, any of my guys, like, so the only person I was having these personal, like, I was just in the trenches with this dude getting gaslit over and over, being lied to and misled and spun around and creating chaos and confusion. And then I have this other company who I've been with for 10 years, quote unquote, overseeing and managing my business and my finances, and just flat out not doing it. And, I kind of was able to zoom out and just feel bad for myself a little bit. Like, I didn't deserve that, So there's a lot to come from it. It will be a process, shit that I wish I didn't have to deal with. But my boy Ari, who's a very successful businessman, sent me a quote. It was Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm not going to try to remember the quote, but over 100 years ago, Ralph Waldo Emerson was one of the most smartest philosophers of his time, way ahead of his time, a spiritual thinker, but in a business sense. And he defined success in a way that like totally resonated with me. He talks about, getting the admiration of children and, leaving things better than you found them. This is in his definition of success. It's a very short, maybe five sentences, a short paragraph. And he made sure to include in that enduring false friends. Enduring the actions of false friends is part of being a successful man. because success, when you're a giver and you're creating things in the universe,
people take.
Naturally the takers see that light and they come to you. And there will be, if you are going to be a successful man. you will have to endure false friends and some of their actions.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like having like a ever-going sense of being a giver, like doing anything for anyone, having that. But then in the back of your head, you're like, well, there's going to be people that take advantage of this, you know? And you have to go into that mindset knowing that.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant clash.
Yeah. And you know what, like when I talk about that period of time or when I learned about what was going on, it was heavy. Like I felt like I was in the fucking Twilight Zone. Like, and, you know, I think I was giving myself a hard time about it. And it's like, I know what was going on because like I'm getting more and more spiritual every day. The more I was in the trenches on the business stuff, I'm like, this stuff makes me feel bad. Now I know why. Because it was fucking a bunch of bullshit and a lot of fucked up shit going on.
Yeah.
I was like, this makes me feel, it made me want to, it actually pushed me to become more spiritual and just like trust. You know what I mean? So there's like this pro and con of kind of levitating and like, oh, everything's amazing. And like, I'm looking at the positive in everyone. You know what I mean? Like I'm attracting positivity and, you know, like, so that's kind of this is the real, like, as far as transparency goes, like, yeah, I'm very, very shiny. Well, not shiny, that's not the right word, but like kind of reeking of positivity and a little woo-woo to people who are like real world people who are like, bro, like, you know, like I need to get the bills paid. Like I can't think about fucking, you know, the purpose of life and, you know, and this is the reality of taking those steps with your outlook and kind of getting above the tangible linear stuff on this human plane. Like, fuck, these guys are trying to fuck me over. Fuck them. I gotta watch out for everybody. I can't trust anybody. It does not go with, you know, a lot of the stuff we preach about. And this is kind of a lesson in that. Like,
do you think this dragged you back down into it a little bit?
Well, I'm not going to, no, here's the thing. Yes and no. That's who I need to be, right? And it definitely serves me as a overall, I've earned my place in this world, in this space, even in my business world, in this bubble, to be the talent, right? Be the person who needs to be in a creative space of abundance and needs to be light and happy. And that's where I feel most creative, right? But the leniency, the negligence, I will admit, there's legitimate negligence on my end of not putting my foot down, and like I should have drawn a line in the sand earlier and been like, wait, these guys, this fucking accounting team that I have, and this guy that I'm dealing with who's quote unquote managing my apparel, this shit is fucked up and I know there's something wrong and I need to trust my instincts and I'm gonna figure it out. I let it go on too long. With a little bit of, like, I think the blind trust is probably the best way of putting it. And that will never happen again. But what I will say again, like, there's another side. The other side of the coin is like, I had a checks and balance. It wasn't like I was just like, oh, yeah, well, you handle it. Like I had a third party company who is literally supposed to oversee and make sure that this shit isn't happening.
Yeah.
So again, like I have to go back to some compassion. It sucks that I didn't have anyone looking out for my best interests at all, when really that's all I'm doing for these people. I mean, I feel like I do that for everybody I know. Like I have no, and again, like that's the truth in my heart. Like I'm sure everybody feels that way about themselves. It's hard to look at yourself objectively and say, hey, am I really looking out for other people? Am I really being the best version of myself or whatever? And I can say that I really am. You know, I can say that I really don't have one malintention for anybody, and definitely didn't for this person. You know, this person, bro, it was a layup. I was giving him layups. Like Stevenson Ranch, the success of Stevenson Ranch is built upon that rapport with the fans that I just talked about, that I cultivated and nourished. I mean, everyone in this room, we've put in the hours campaigning city to city to city, never walking away from one fan, one relationship, one conversation. I never half-assed one experience with any of these fans. I never was too good for it. I never said, fuck it, I ain't working. I'm not showing you. How many shows did I play fucking feeling like shit? Like I think I went on a run with like 400, 500 shows. I didn't miss one.
Yeah.
And we partied every night. We went out and fucking shook hands, kissed babies.
Yeah.
Partied with the people, the girl, everybody.
Only canceled shows were due to weather, pretty much.
Only a few times.
Yeah.
Like you can count on one hand, I think, in 500, 600 shows. Like,
yep.
This is the accountability that the whole thing is built on. You know what I'm saying? And I can take solace in that. I could find solace in that, you know, and knowing that I think I've always put the best foot forward. Again, bro, life isn't fair. Like we just made a post about selflessness, healing the self, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be play the victim on this, you know? Like I am a victim for sure. But dude, there's way worse shit that could happen to people. Like there's somebody walking down the street, a fucking beautiful person that just gets fucking murdered or you know, stolen from, or, you know, die, you know, like people die all the time and it's unfair and they didn't deserve it. So am I going to play that victim card in the way I'm approaching my day-to-day life? No. To be honest, I haven't really lost sleep on it. I mean, my lawyer was like, I'm sure you're losing a bunch of sleep. I was like, no, I'm not. Because my energy is clean. It is. I don't have a problem when I close my eyes at night because I feel good about where it came from. Did I feel stupid? Do I feel stupid sometimes about it? Yeah. You know, if I'm being honest. But I think the wise man once said, it's tatted on my hand, the ball don't lie. And that's really what this means, is that time will be honest. And I know that's in my favor, and I know the universe sees all, and that's how I choose to that's what I subscribe to as a person, and I think the cards are in our favor, and I do actually, even if it was just karma, I'd be fine. But I do think the reparations and the way this is going to shake out is going to be, the truth will come out, and I'll make sure it comes out publicly so people do know the truth, because my number one goal is repairing what's been done. The damage to the fans and the consumer base is really what hurts me the most. Just thinking about this relationship. Is it the the fucking money that's been, it's not. It's about what it means long term for the relationship between us and the fans, So we'll see where it goes. I mean, it's going to be a process, and things will take a little time, but I've been knee deep in the trenches on it, and things are really positive for us in the grand scheme of things. So
yeah, and it's beautiful that you see or are looking for the lesson of it all rather than feeling like the victim, because that's really all you can do in these situations.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like there's kind of a common thing. If ever I see, negative comments, it's like, what hard stuff have you gone through, man? We talk about pain and enduring pain, which is, it's fine. Like people say, I understand where everyone's coming from, and people have gone through a lot harder shit than I have, and even still with enduring this, like I said, a lot worse shit happens to people. So but this is a great learning experience. I talk about taking the good out of the bad all the time, and I would be a fraud if I didn't. This is my opportunity to handle it with grace and actually practice what I preach and what I say I believe. Like it's easy to act like everything's roses when nothing really bad's happening. So we're making an album called The Lows right now.
Good timing.
I look at this, I took it as a wink from the universe.
Yeah.
And the energy that I'm putting into these records, I have my final little burst of energy and direction lyrically, just energetically. Like, what does it feel like to be, everyone's been fucked over by somebody. It's part of life. And, whether it's a relationship, your girlfriend, whatever, just feeling betrayed or feeling lonely or feeling like no one cares about you. you know, you give something to somebody and they just take it and take advantage of you. I think that's a really common experience for humans.
Yeah.
And I think that's an energy, that's really the only energy, my collection of music, my vault that I'm building, I think that's the only energy that was really missing. And you know, I only make shit that just comes out energetically. So think about how I'm feeling. And this is what I'm going to be channeling as I tie up this album. Again, man, I'm looking at it all as a gift. We've talked about this parable once before on the podcast. It's a pretty famous parable. It's about the Chinese farmer. And it's like the whole essence of it is like who knows what's good or bad, you know? And the lesson is to not judge things as they're happening as good or bad, because you don't know where it's going to lead to. You don't know what's in the future. So really, I'll give you a little brief understanding of it is like, you know, guy's horses run away. That's his business. He's a farmer. His neighbors come over and say, that's terrible. He says, who knows what's good or bad.
Yeah.
The next day,
you don't know what it'll lead to.
The next day, his horses come back and they brought 10 mares back. Like a bunch of wild horses followed them back. So he got a bunch more horses. They said, that's great. He said, who knows what's good or bad. His son goes out the next day, tries to break the horses. They're wild, so you got to break them and tame them. Gets thrown from the horse, breaks his arm. The neighbors come over and say, that's terrible. He says, who knows what's good or bad.
Yep.
Next day, the army comes by. They're looking to draft people. They're going to war. He's injured, so he can't go. And, you know, again, he says, who knows what's good or bad. So, you know, you'd never really, I love that parable and I think about it actually often. Like, we always want to judge. Like today, I literally had to check myself. Like, I can't expect this to be fixed overnight. I want everyone to know the truth right now. I want all the justice to be served. And it's going to be a process, man. And, you know, maybe some of it will be harder than it should be. But at the same time, like, what's going to come from this? I think I'm operating from a place of, as long as it's aligned with the truth and my truth, I'm going to let it take me wherever it's supposed to be. So I'm not going to judge it as good or bad. Yeah, so-and-so, a guy you've known and taken care of your whole life, took you for a ride and did terrible things to you. It sounds bad, but who knows?
I want to go back into that parable because I really liked it and I resonated with it a bit. And what reminded me of it was a friend called me yesterday and was like, falling on like somewhat hard times and was asking about like, you know, I'm looking for work and it's like, I don't have like a lot going on right now. I'm looking to like work more. I'm looking for more opportunities and I haven't really found any yet. And it reminded me of a time which you'll probably know about, probably like in the in-between years, like when you were transferring from like Mike Stud to Mike and we weren't touring a lot. There was no podcasts yet. There was no Only Steves yet. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't really,
idle.
It was very idle and like my life was very idle. I'm like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. We're not really shooting music videos that much. And I remember there was like a year span where I was just kind of like sitting around like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? You know, like what's my purpose? What am I doing? And I mean, you probably even remember I was like walking dogs in my free time because I had nothing going on.
I do remember.
I was on a wag just walking dogs because I was like, it's a very...
Walk me down the walkway. Fuck you.
Granted, I loved walking the dogs. It was a great time, but...
It sounds like a great gig.
Yeah, but you think about waking up every day and it's like purpose. What do I do? Like, how do I fill my time? And it was like a year of that. But from that time, I mean, think of what happened following that. It forced me to write my first movie and then go on to self-fund it, self-produce it, and then make it. And regardless of whether the movie was good or not,
you did it.
We don't know if it's good or bad, but I did it, and I found a great sense of accomplishment with that. And then you wait a little longer, and then the podcast comes about. And then there's another sense of purpose, and we're doing that for we're doing it right now. 4 years later, we're still doing it, and it's just like I wish in that time I heard that parable because like it happens time and time again. You think of like all the companies, we talked about this before, the companies that arise when there's like a stock market crash or the economy collapses.
I mean, think about Only Steves.
Oh, I know, yeah, but like even from like what was the last, like 2008, the 2008 crash, like all these big companies came out of it, like Uber and Airbnb, and like the list goes on. And then when we were forced to sit at home during quarantine, we come up with this subscription model that it's fucking changed my life, and I know it's been adding a lot of value to your life
Yeah.
and your businesses. So like just having that in the back of your head, like when these things happen and you think you're falling on hard times, like that's such a good thing to remind yourself. Is it good or bad? Because you tend to harp on the bad side.
Yeah, and it's not even is it good or bad. It says it's who knows what's good or bad. Don't judge it at all.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It's just that open to anything attached to nothing thing we always go back to. You got to be open. You got to be open. And when it gets bad, it isn't time to close up. Close your heart. There's a great book, Untethered Soul, talks about you can kind of get in tune with your heart chakra and just if you can check in. This parable is a great example. It's just like constantly checking in to make sure that you're open. You know what I mean? Don't close. Be open. Be present, and allow yourself. Because to your point, it's just like when shit gets hard, it's very easy to close up, and it's actually human nature. Our cells as humans, like our body, our whole organ as an organism, it's trying to protect us from danger. It's like we're survival instincts. So when shit gets hard, it's like the walls go up, and I'm closing up and protecting myself here. And really, what you're doing is kind of you're poisoning your view, and you're poisoning your life experience. And really, you could actually be, instead of blocking negativity from coming in, you're blocking yourself from seeing the opportunity in the negative.
Wow.
And it's what we talk about all the time. It's what the fucking highs, lows, the in-betweens is. This whole concept, It's kind of what's beautiful about, I think it's probably one of the best things about the branding that, as an artist, that I've just kind of gravitated to always. Like even these days, that concept is all about being here now, the present, these days, like these concepts that are universal truths. Like the highs and lows, in betweens, the keep going. It's literally just about life, and it's so relatable because the human experience is exactly that. It's a story of just going through those peaks and valleys, and even those mundane times where you feel like you got nothing going on, and you're not. There's just so much opportunity in all of those avenues, and we find ourselves in the lows right now. And maybe I manifested this a bit because you make an album called The Lows, you sign up for something like this, maybe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
What I will say is, like, bad shit's gonna happen. We know that, and it feels good to at least be in this headspace. This is the first time I've had something really traumatic or hard happen, and I didn't really have a meltdown, or I didn't really let it control me and send me into a downward spiral. I didn't run back to alcohol. I didn't run back to fucking random sex, or going and needing external attention. I stayed in my fucking crib. I worked through the emotions.
You dealt with it like a man.
I put my foot down. I said I'm not gonna do that, because that's where I wanted to go. Like deep down, like there's that voice, like fuck. There's also that deep down voice. Me, I used to be very aggressive and confrontational and physical harm. Like that was another outlet for me. Like someone said something, you make me feel small. You try to play me, like, all right, and I'm not doing any of that. I'm gonna handle it like a man, which is actually ironically what I used to think that was what made you a man,
By being
going
a
and
tough
beating
guy.
somebody's ass.
Yeah.
But really it's handling it with grace, and understanding that the truth will come to light, and I'm gonna do my part. I'm not gonna be a pussy about it, I'm not gonna take a back seat on anything. And really the truth being set free is probably my number one priority, more than the money, more than anything. And I'll spend whatever, I'll lose more money to protect my name, because I feel as though I feel violated, like that's a huge emotion. I would say, just like someone's just kind of threw dirt on my name, and he's standing right next to me the whole time. To the people that have given me this life, I do think the fans like know me well enough, you know, and I think partially why the reaction was so strong when I've made some comments about this.
Yeah.
Because they just were like, man, you know, I feel like they know me enough to know it wasn't me, you know.
Well, it's like it's the only guy in the group that just wasn't like appreciative of the fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Just
zero appreciation.
Just abusing his, like, number one, didn't have any power, but abused the fact that like he had some fame or clout to our fans and would speak down to them, talk down to anyone, talk down. Like, there's been so many people that have reached out, like, man, like their experience, fans and non-fans, like people who have come by to work or even people who have booked us for shows, be like, yo, we loved you guys, but like that guy was so fucking rude and condescending.
It's the fans like tick me off the most though. It's like, it's such a beautiful thing, man. Like,
what do you, how do you even do that?
Like people, like all these people that you never even met before, showing you so much appreciation for what like you've done and what you built and like the impact that you've given them. And then to just like not be appreciative of that, it just like, I can't fathom it.
Dude, the guy, and like, it's like, you act like you're, you know, it's what happens with artists and celebrities. Like, you have this talent that people praise, right? Like this talent, this God gift that you have, or whatever ability, even if you're just super attractive.
But you're
like,
you're the talent. That's what I'm saying. Like, like we're the surrounding members. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What I'm getting at here is like, you know, this person, some level of deep narcissism, forgot that he wasn't the talent. And even furthermore, let me tell you, bro, like, he didn't do any of the art. I found out, like, none of the shit that he even, like, the talent, quote unquote, that he thinks gives him the ability to speak this way and act this way towards people who admire him or are fans or whatever it is. It's a fucking facade. Because I can literally tell you that I am seeing the reports, and there's other artists I'm in talking. I have the proof. All the shit, you know, overwhelming majority of the shit that's been created under the guise that this person was making them, to me, unbeknownst to me. That's where my respect and leniency went. That's why my leniency existed between him and I. Between him and I, there was a dynamic, and I respected the efforts put forth on the skill set that he brought. And it's not even fucking real. He wasn't even doing it. You know what I mean? And like, the whole thing has just been like, every single rock I've turned over, there's a curtain, the veil's lifted, and I'm like, just been played like a fiddle the entire time. You know what I mean? It's pretty fucking insane. And you know, in so many ways, it kind of makes sense. Like, I kind of kick myself. Like, I saw sometimes how he would talk to people, not necessarily the fans. I don't think he would do that in front of me, but like, there was so many red flags that I just, you know, for whatever, that's kind of where I kick myself the most. Like, why didn't I address those red flags more? I kind of wanted to not believe them. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just a lesson learned.
So how you treat other people is everything.
It's everything.
Especially people you don't know.
Especially think about what we're talking about all the time.
Yeah.
Like, think about how we're really living. Like, especially how I've been rocking for a long time as a person. Like, if you don't treat people like I'm literally one of those guys who preaches that, and then I got a guy right next to me doing it, and I'm not like seeing it for what it is. You know, that's probably where I feel as though, you know, I probably let myself down there the most, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I hate to keep coming back to this. It's just like, people behind the scenes aren't supposed to like get the attention and the praise. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not how it works. And like, for us to be in this situation with what we've built, to get the praise, for people on the sidelines to get praise, like, I just don't understand how you can't come from a place of appreciation. You know what I mean? Like, especially
it's hard
like,
to understand. I don't think it's
like, I was the guy behind the camera. The guys behind the camera aren't supposed to get the praise and the appreciation. Their job is to document other people to help them get praise and appreciation. And it's like to come up like that. And like, he's supposed to be the fucking guy behind the computer doing the designs.
He's a fucking
like,
computer nerd.
you know what I mean? Like,
That's what he is though.
Like those people aren't supposed to like, you know, at the shows, like people coming up being like, oh man, like I respect what you do. I love what you're doing. Like it sounds, that,
I mean, dude,
that doesn't happen in any other circles. Like we're lucky.
Dude, let's really think about this. From the very fucking beginning, all I've ever done is try to facilitate exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Touring's boring.
Yeah.
Everyone's a character. It's not about me.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me at all. I was actually less in Touring's boring, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, like it was equal, it was balanced. Like, oh, TV show, the whole crew.
Yeah.
The whole reason we had a TV show, this is Mike said, is because it was about this dude had hired all of his friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how everybody had these funny roles and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, this person in particular, I mean, dude, I can't think of how I could, no matter what he got away with or thinks he got away with, which he's not going to get away with, like, I was giving the dude the entire keys. Like, I'm talking moved him to a city where I knew we could take it over. You know, I talked about this in 2018 about taking over Nashville in this direction, which we have.
Yep.
And I realized I didn't want to live here because I was changing so quickly and like, I'm not going to live here. But hey, you live here. You can be the guy. Like, I literally let this person frolic around the city acting like he's the guy. And I don't care. I have no ego in it. Like, fine.
Well, he was your proxy. Like,
Yeah.
he was you.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, dude, I'm shooing you in to like a multi-million-dollar network in perpetuity forever. No matter what money grab you could have or whatever, like whatever you think you could get over on me on, whatever, like, dude, it was a fumble. Like I have a crazy network. That's the whole thing. Like athletes, artists, business people, we have, and bro, you can't go anywhere and not see Stevenson Ranch. There's fans fucking everywhere here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the whole reason why it was such a layup for this person. Like, you can be the guy taking all the praise here. I don't even need it. I'm gonna be on the beach. Like, you can be the guy that everyone takes so seriously because they can't go anywhere and not see an SR. And I'm letting you, like, even the point where the guy, I know for a fact this person was telling, well, there's a lot of lies going on. But even on a smaller level, just like he's telling people he's my partner on all things. Like, and it's like, dude, just with like what we got going on and the success we're having, like there's so many plays to make here if you just play this straight.
Yeah.
Like there's plays in perpetuity. Like there's so much, people talk about like once you start making real money, like it's easy to make money.
It keeps flowing. Yeah.
Because like once you get to an established place where people are fucking with you and you got something to offer and you got some real sauce, real juice going on, like all you got to do is play it smart, be a good person.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And just do your fucking job.
Yeah.
And it's been the total opposite. I mean, I'm gonna say this, and I'll find out if I can keep this in. We're in this person's sector of my business, we're doing well over 7 figures in this sector of business. We're in a sector of business that traditional margins, profit margins, lie on the very, very small conservative side at 20 to 25%, and at the great side, 40 to 45%. This is from, I've referenced many people before, I've talked about this whole month. I've been talking with lawyers, people in this sectors, whatever.
Yep.
Like, let's call it safely 30%.
Yep.
Profit margins. Our profit margins were under 3%.
It's pretty low.
And there's a lot like it, I'll let
leave it at that.
I'll let it speak for itself.
Yeah.
So, and the crazy part is like the fool's really trying to play me and like play like, trying to call my bluff on like taking it all the way. And he's gonna be in, like, hopefully this person hears this because I'm not bluffing.
Yeah.
I have to make this right. I have to make this right. And if it means me losing more money or more money out towards this situation to clean it up, yeah, there's no bluff. Like, This has to be rectified head on and addressed head on. And that's really where my head's at. And again, I'm going to channel all this energy into what I do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really going to end up being a beautiful thing. Again, I'm not going to judge it as bad as it is. I think there's going to be good that comes out of this. And that's where I could sleep at night,
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it continues. Just can't take that for granted. But as long as I feel as though I'm acting in alignment, and I'm not going to let this, like, you could stoop down. Like, that's like the common thing. Like, you stoop down to their level right away. I used to do that. Like, I would, as I was switching over to kind of a more spiritual outlook, like, as soon as someone said something and it enraged me, I would stoop down to their level and fucking disrespect them back, say something mean back to them.
Yep.
And not to say I haven't said anything mean, this last month, privately about, just feeling hurt, just regulating that and making sure that I'm keeping my energy clean is a focus, and that's just where we're at.
Yeah, that's tough. And you mentioned that part a little bit, where you're saying that you kind of empowered him. Do you feel like you empower him and making him like the guy, the face of it all, like you said, in Nashville, kind of like led to his demise in a way? Because like we don't have to mention names, but like it's something you've done in the past and it's happened to other people in our camp. And I feel like when you empower someone, you put them in that position, that person now has a responsibility to like not let it get the best of them. Mm-hmm. And you see it time and time again where like people of interest, celebrities, whatever you want to call it, it gets the best of them. Mm-hmm. And maybe they were good people at one point. Yeah. And when they're put in that position, it just, I don't know what it does, but it just changes the way they treat people. It changes their outlook. And
yeah, no, you're spot on.
And like
that's a hard lesson for me to learn.
And like for instance, like when I think of like how you deal with things, I could never relate to it in a million years, just because of the notoriety that you have and what comes with that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that now you're coming from a place of like, I mean, where you are, you should be extremely proud of yourself, because you're not like everyone else. You aren't.
Yeah. No,
so like what has that been like for you?
To be honest, I had a friend ask me, who I hadn't seen in a while, just recently, and he asked me, I can't exactly remember how he phrased the question, but it was along the lines of like, after you've done all this shit, like what matters the most? Like, like how, he was kind of insinuating the same thing. Like you've done a bunch of shit. Like he knew me when I was 10.
Yeah.
So he's just like, you went and did all this crazy shit. Like what matters the most? And I didn't even think about it. I said, knowing I'm being a good person. Mm-hmm. Is the only thing that, like, when I wake up, that's really like when I keep referencing, like, I'm able to sleep. Like, that's really what it's about. And I learned that. I kind of had an aha moment, I think it was in like 2018 about it, where like, I don't know, it's like, that's really what's going to matter in the long run. No one's going to remember all the shit. There's so much to accomplish, and I've accomplished a lot. But at the same time, like, none of it really matters, It's
legacy versus just being a good person.
Making people feel, that's my legacy.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to be somebody like, yo, that dude's fucking rock solid, good dude. Fuck with that guy,
Amen.
Like,
a fucking man.
And to me, that's my favorite accolade, and again, that's why I'm in this position. I'm so proud of myself to sit here in this position, and this probably will get messy, but everyone fucking knows who's who. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows who's who. Not to say I've never done something wrong and I was this perfect guy. When I was Mike said, I'd be drunk and wild and probably mistreated some people along the way, whether they were being young and crazy, and wild and shit. But I've really have. The number one fucking focal point for me has just been staying solid. You know what I mean? And I do think, dude, this is actually a good reminder, a good example. Like, I can make it through anything knowing that, Mm-hmm. It's doing my part. Like, that's what I feel like doing your part as a fucking human being is, you know? Doing your best and not really fucking, not hurting anybody else. And if you do hurt them, you fucking take accountability and you fix it. Because I've hurt people, you know, plenty of times. But that's where I'm at on it. And then, like, the fucking fame and notoriety, like, the question, first, you know, it doesn't, it literally, I can't tell you the last time it's mattered to me. I can't tell you the last time. It stopped mattering a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's high volume. It gets more high volume, but I've made smart, as much as I've made some bad business decisions that are coming to light.
Yeah.
For the most part, I've made good business decisions, and I'm very proud, you know, like, I didn't want to be mega famous. It's not enticing to me. I've done it in step-by-step processes that, you know, manageable, and it hasn't gotten so crazy where I'm like, fuck this, you know, like, I'm able to manage it, and you know, again, why I talk about what I talk about, and why my brand is what it is now, forward facing, hey, accountability, trying to improve people's lives, sharing what works for me, is because that's been the secret. That's been my secret to how I've lasted.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's been the secret to how I've, you know, continued to improve, I guess, you know, even artistically. So that's a long-winded answer, but, you know, that's what I would say. That's how I've done it. And I'm telling you, more than getting a Grammy or a bill, like, I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. It's about staying solid for me.
Yeah.
And not losing that.
I'm just saying that, like, keeping a level head while constantly being praised, and, like, keeping a level head through all of it, is just a beautiful thing. And finding that, I think, is very impressive. And that's just from me looking on the outside, looking in. I think,
thank you, sir.
I think it's an impressive thing, because you see time and time again, when people are put in that position, they lose sight of all what's important.
See, what I'll say is, what you just said is a bigger accolade to me.
Yeah.
Or it's a bigger praise, quote unquote. Like, yeah, I'm getting praise, like, your music, or you're attractive, or you're so great, or your music changed my life, or this.
Yeah.
That is all extremely meaningful. I'm not saying that isn't. What I will say is, like, what's more meaningful is that people see that I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, and they truly feel that way. That's more meaningful. It is, you know, it really is. It means more. It makes me feel more. It makes me feel more self-pride.
Yeah.
Because really what happens is you get inflated ego, and you're very prideful, and I'm very serious and important.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Really, I get a bigger sense of importance from you saying, hey, man, it's impressive that you've kept a level head.
Yeah.
And that's the reality, you know?
But I mean, I've known you through the whole time. And, like, yeah, there have been times where you were cocky. Like,
yeah. I was a little cocky little baseball player too. I was like, that's how I was.
Yeah.
This competitive young spirit.
Yeah.
But I was never mean to people. I really wasn't ever.
No.
You know? And, you know, it is what it is, right? Like, good people, I think, are what make the world go round. And you could argue that a lot of the bad people are in power, you know? But I'm talking about what makes the shit that makes being alive good, you know? Fucking family, friends, finding the good people in your life, and fucking making experiences. And I want to be a beacon of just, hey, like, you can win as a good guy. It might not be world domination and fucking ultimate celebrity and fame and power, but it's not, I don't know. I feel like if you're a good soul and you got you're aligned, like, you kind of realize that's for the birds. Like, ultimate fame, power, success, any of that shit is just, it's a recipe for disaster, you know?
I will tell you this, being in LA for as long as we were there, and, like, being a nice guy, like, I feel like it got me literally nowhere. And the second I moved to Nashville, like 6 months being here, so many more positive things have been flowing to me, just because of the environment of this place versus Los Angeles.
Yep. You're 100% right. But here's what I will say.
Yeah.
I've seen you change.
That too. I'm not just going to put it on the city.
Yeah,
I know
no.
I've changed.
I'm not saying you are,
Yeah.
but I would say that when you are living your truth and you're not fucking lying and hurting people,
Yep.
especially the people that are important to you,
Yeah.
your energy will clear up. It will translate better to people. When you're living in alignment, that's when you're living in flow.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that happened to me. When I stopped lying,
Yeah.
my throat stopped hurting. I was less sick. Like for real, it's a throat chakra thing. Like it's when I stopped, when I stopped fucking kind of, I don't know, living in low frequency habits, like, drugs, alcohol, random sex, like shit that is, it's not demonized. It's fine. As long as you're not hurting people, it's fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got out of that space, like you just said, like my energy's pure and I just feel like good things are flowing to me. And then you could say, oh, fuck you. You just found out all this negative shit happened to you and that's not true. Again, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a very, like what's happening and what we just talked about this whole episode, this will be an unbelievably positive thing in the long run.
Yeah.
It will.
I agree.
Because this shit's I'm going to run this shit to the fucking moon for the next, I don't know how long. And the money's made and the fucking moves made and the plays that I make, there will be no poison, no toxicity in the environment. And it will grow, it will flourish. Bro, we've been doing this shit with a fucking anchor on our leg.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Like trying to fucking climb mountains with a group of guys and there's one guy in the back putting rocks in my backpack, making it heavier, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And we still did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's where I'm at on it. We'll get, again, I know for a fact this will be a positive thing in my life when I look back. It's how I look at my arm injury. That was the worst thing that ever happened. Oh my God, I'm not going to be a pro baseball player.
Was it good or bad?
It was the best thing that ever happened. And this will be no different.
Mm-hmm.
The key is staying in this energy, in this space, which I walked in here in a totally different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I just got off the phone. It's like talking about fucking how lengthy this is going to be, how much it's going to cost, to pursue this properly and do this. And, I'm like, fuck, why do I deserve this? Again, just get back to center. This is going to be one of those things I look back that I'm thankful it happened, So I got great people, bro. I have great people in my life. I have a great family. I have great friends. I have an amazing new team, operations team that found what was happening. And it'd be a kind of fraud move to talk about what I talk about. And then when this happens, just literally just focus on the one bad egg when I got a bunch of great shit. I have thousands and thousands, millions of people really that that support our shit and have been great to me. So is it crazy that one guy, didn't and tried to take advantage and did take advantage? And it's not crazy, bro. It's probability really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
If the camera's still rolling, great, but we can.
Oh, is it not?
No, it might be. I think so.
Okay.
But we can close it down.
Yeah,
It's a great conversation. We can circle back on this.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be an ever evolving situation.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And again, this is a vantage point for me, an outlet. I can speak. I have a clear line of communication to my consumer base, the people that I'm trying to fix, the relationship I'm trying to fix, and I will see to that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Cheers, Stevie.
All right. Cheers.